Since 2020, around 20 countries have executed someone. Both the US and Japan have been on this list. For the US, the number of executions has been close to 100, but for Japan, the number has only been 3. Regardless, capital punishment has been and is still actively being abolished in countries around the world, so why haven't these two countries abolished it? My final research project sets out to answer this question. How does trust in the judiciary system affect public opinion on capital punishment in Japan and the United States? Furthermore, how does that public opinion affect the use of capital punishment? Capital punishment has been a significant form of punishment for the most heinous crimes in both countries and is deeply rooted in both countries' histories. Both Japan and the United States have different methods and histories for why and how capital punishment is used. In this presentation, I will solely be looking at the specific case of Japan. I will briefly explain the historical significance of capital punishment before discussing the reasons why it hasn't been abolished. Lastly, I will go into my preliminary argument as to how judiciary trust and public opinion are directly linked. Prior to 1868, Japan often used capital punishment for a variety of crimes such as murder, treason, sexual crimes, disrespect of authority, samurai code violations, and political offenses. Execution methods also varied depending on social status of the criminal. These mostly included beheadings, hangings, drownings, and forced ritual suicides, also called seppuku. After 1868 and prior to World War II, during the Meiji, Taisho, and early Showa periods, the use of capital punishment increased with Japan's military expansion efforts, more structured legal systems, and Western influences. It became a formal legal procedure, and the method of shooting became another form of execution. Capital punishment was also used in war crimes. Directly after World War II, the 1948 Constitution made serious reforms to the legal system regarding capital punishment, but complete abolition was never adopted. Executions from then till the present became more secretive and eventually became less frequent. Despite this, support for capital punishment remained high in Japan, but it is also believed that this support is conditional. There are 5 types of courts in Japan: summary, family, district, high, and the Supreme Court. Summary and family courts deal with civil lawsuits, minor criminal cases, and family affairs. District courts handle criminal, civil, and administrative cases at the lowest level. The high courts handle appeals filed against a final judgment at the lowest level. And lastly, the Supreme Court is the highest and final level of the courts. So where does capital punishment fall under this system? Capital punishment in Japan falls under the Criminal Code and the Criminal Procedure Code. The Criminal Code states that capital punishment can be imposed for heinous crimes such as murder, treason, serial killings, or terrorism. The Criminal Code procedure governs that capital punishment may only be imposed after a fair trial and conviction. Before any case goes to trial, the police conduct full investigations of a crime and can hold a suspect for up to 23 days before charging them. Trials are usually held in district courts. There is no jury system in Japan, so the conviction of the suspect is solely based off the judge, and in the case of capital punishment, a lay judge system is in place, where 3 judges determine the outcome of the conviction. If someone is sentenced to death and the execution goes as scheduled, the person is often executed secretly. They are informed the morning of the execution rather than given prior notice. The primary method of execution is currently by hanging. Death row inmates can often remain in prison for up to 10 to 20 years, which often brings up the question of the ethical nature of Japan's capital punishment system. There are many theories as to why capital punishment hasn't been abolished in Japan. Some believe that it prevents further and more serious crimes from frequently occurring. Others speculate that it has been embedded within the historical and legal tradition, making it harder to abolish. Others think that it is genuinely effective in preventing crime and making examples of those who've done wrong. There are many debates as to why public opinion for capital punishment is so high, but scholars come to these 3 conclusions. Japanese public opinion of capital punishment is fluid, switching between support and opposition. Public opinion also hinders on trust in the judiciary to make correct convictions. Lastly, when the public is informed of wrongful convictions, support for capital punishment declines. According to a 2019 Japanese public opinion survey, 80% of respondents said that capital punishment was a necessary and unavoidable form of punishment for the most serious crimes. This number has remained relatively consistent since the early 2000s. The 80% makes up both people who actively support capital punishment and those who reluctantly support it. Many Japanese people think that capital punishment can work as a sort of eye for an eye tactic, and they fear crime rates will go up without it. Since there is a strong trust in the judiciary system, the people believe that all trials and court proceedings are conducted carefully and fairly. Some people also believe that capital punishment gives the families of victims a sense of closure. While there is a lot of support for capital punishment, there are a few factors that are critiqued. Many scholars believe the numbers reported by the Japanese government may not be entirely true because of the secrecy and lack of transparency around executions. They suggest that support for capital punishment is conditional and that the surveys given to the public include complicated and confusing wording. When alternative sentences are suggested in surveys, scholars have found that support for capital punishment declines. This lack of education on capital punishment shows that much of the public opinion and the trust in the legal system can be followed blindly and manipulated. When the public is not given full transparency on a legal and conviction process, it can greatly impact the lives of everyone involved. There is limited cross-national comparison of the use of capital punishment in Japan and the United States. There is also a missing link between trust, public opinion, and policy outcomes. Many scholars either look at public opinion towards capital punishment or trust in the system, but fail to address how trust shapes public opinion and how that opinion influences policy decisions. Trust in the judiciary system comes from historical cases where there are fewer wrongful convictions or there was a lack of education about capital punishment in general. I argue that this relationship between judiciary trust and public opinion on capital punishment is significantly different in Japan and the United States, and this difference affects how each country maintains and challenges the use of capital punishment. In Japan, the high trust in the legal system reinforces the consistent support for capital punishment that has not diminished in decades, yet public opinion has been shown to be conditional when given the opportunity. In the United States, trust in the system is also conditional, but experiences more fluctuations in support. Even though these two countries present different reasons, capital punishment has not been abolished. Understanding these two cases is essential to revealing why capital punishment is being abolished in many highly developed democratic countries, yet still exists in two very prominent ones. Japan and the United States offers a unique comparison due to their different legal systems and cultural attitudes towards authority. This will ultimately help answer how legal systems respond to public pressure and evolve over time.